Good morning. We are reading The Wheel on the School by Maynard de Jong. Pictures by Maurice Sendak. We are on Chapter 9, The Wheel Rim. When the soaked Ailka and the dripping Yella arrived in Shora, they hurried down the street to bring their load of wheel spokes and rim sections to the school. "I don't know if anybody in Shora has a rake, do you?" Ailka asked doubtfully. "With no trees and hardly any yards, there's nothing to rake in Shora." "The teacher might have one," Yella said. "He's got a little garden." The words stopped in his mouth, and he nudged Ailka. There stood Pierre and Dirk in the open gateway of Janus's backyard, talking to Janus. "Look at that," Yella said in an unbelieving whisper. "Something's up," Ailka said, and hurried right into Janus's yard. Now he too stood in the gateway talking, explaining everything to Pierre, Dirk, and Janus. Yella stayed in the street, but Ailka mentioned him to Janus. "Yella, come on," he yelled. "Janus wants to see those rim sections." Yella did not move. Janus wheeled himself to the gate. "Come on, kid, I don't bite." "No," Yella said doubtfully, "but you hit awfully hard." "Ah, that's right. You're the big kid I spanked good last year," Janus said. Out of the side of his mouth, he said to the three boys around him, "Maybe I did do it a bit hard if he remembered it a whole year." With everybody looking at him, waiting for him, Yella had to come. He came, but over his loaded arm he kept warily looking at Janus and was ready to turn and run like a hare if he had to. Yella suspected some trap. It wasn't right. Janus sitting there talking to kids? Something must going to be break loose any moment. "Janus just wants to see if those pieces of rim can be fitted and glued together again," Ailka explained reassuringly. Yella stepped up, dumped the whole load of rim sections before Janus's chair, and hastily stepped back out of reach. Janus had made no attempt at all to grab him. Instead, he rummaged among the rim sections that Yella had put before him. He sorted and fitted, trying to fit the different pieces together the way they had been originally. The other boys stood absorbed. "Is Janus going to fix it for us?" Yella whispered. He couldn't believe it. Janus heard him. "It can be done," he told Yella, "but it'll take some time, some glue, a few screws, some small nails. Storks aren't too fussy." "But it won't stay without an iron rim to hold it together, will it?" Yella asked. He forgot his fear now that it seemed there was a possibility the wheel could be put together again. He crowded in close between Dirk and Pierre to see just what Janus was doing with the pieces. Janus dropped the sections he was holding so suddenly Yella jumped back. But Janus just said, "Right you are, kid. You've got something besides beef above your neck." This was wasting time. "Come on, let's go get the rim." "We'll need a long rake to drag the canal. The mud is so deep," Ailka told him. "A rake," Janus considered. "Now who in Shora would have a rake? They use that on land, don't they?" It was a joke, but nobody but Pierre seemed to feel enough at ease with Janus to laugh. Pierre snickered out loud, but when he saw he was laughing alone, he sobered and said, "The teacher's got one, Janus. I know. I had to help him with his garden once, for punishment, instead of staying after school." "On to the teacher," Janus commanded. "Come on, let's go." He grabbed the wheels at the side of his chair to propel himself. "On to the school," he bellowed. He seemed to be full of good spirits. "I'll push you, Janus," Pierre offered. "I will too," Dirk said. Ailka hastily piled his spokes beside Yella's scattered rim sections and jumped to help with Janus's wheelchair. "May I, Janus? Janus, may I push you?" "Let's see." Janus studied the four as if it were a deep problem. Then he pointed to Yella. "You, big fella, you push. Maybe if you do something for me, you won't be so scared of me." With Yella behind the chair, they started off down the street to the school. But the other three boys couldn't keep their hands off. The strange wheelchair was too fascinating. They started off sedately enough, but with all four pushing, Yella and Pierre from behind and Dirk and Ailka at the sides, they were soon going at half a run. The wheelchair went bouncing and jouncing over the irregular street. Janus had to hang on with all his strength, but he seemed to like it. And since he didn't object, the boys went still faster. Now they were almost at a full run. "Yippee!" Janus yelled out ahead to the empty street. "Out of the way, all you mortals! Janus is coming!" The boys shoved still harder. "Boys, this is it. This is making the old wheelchair go. It never knew it could go so fast." Janus was quiet a moment. "Hey, Pierre!" he yelled over his shoulder. "This is almost as much excitement as when the shark bit off my legs." Yelling and laughing, with the wheelchair rattling, they arrived at the school. The teacher came running from the classroom at the strange sounds outside. By the time he reached the door, the boys had already shoved Janus and the wheelchair into the school portal. The teacher and Janus met each other at full tilt. It was almost a collision. "Is something wrong?" the startled teacher asked. "What's happened?" "What's happened, teacher, is that these kids found a wheel, but then promptly went and lost the rim in the canal. But they say you own a rake, so we've come to borrow it to drag the canal." "It fell apart," Elke explained. Then they were all explaining together. The confused teacher finally held up his hand. "What I get out of this is that you need a rake. So I'll get my rake from home. Then we'll all go to the canal, and you can explain it all on the way." He skirted the group and rushed out of the door. "I think I like that man," Janus observed. "Never had much to do with high-minded teachers since I was a kid, but he means business. I thought teachers just talked, but he doesn't fool around with words. He goes and does things." The boys wheeled Janus's chair around to push him out of the portal again. At that moment, Janus saw the bell rope hanging in the portal. "Hey, a rope," he said. "I should have thought of that. We need a rope. The bottom mud in the old canal goes so deep in places we may have to tie a rope to the end of the rake." He grabbed at it. "Hey, don't," Pierre warned. "That'll ring the bell, and then everybody will come, because if the bell rings, that means a wheel has been found." "Well, a wheel has been found, hasn't it?" Janus said impatiently. "At least 9/10 of a wheel. But don't worry, if I yank that rope with a good enough snap, something will give without ringing the bell." He reached up and gave the rope a tremendous snapping jerk. The rope parted somewhere above in the cupola and came tumbling down around Janus's head. "There," he said. "Now we've got a rope." He proceeded calmly to coil it around his arm. Janus just did things. He hadn't even asked the teacher's permission. The boys looked at him in awe and stared up at the empty hole in the portal ceiling through which the bell rope had always hung. "No wonder you could hardly walk for a week," Elke whispered to Jelle, and tenderly rubbed the seat of his own pants as if feeling the pain. The teacher appeared in the portal doorway. He had the rake, but right away he missed the bell rope. He stared at the empty rope hole in the ceiling. "Figured we might need a rope, too," Janus explained. "Oh, I see," the teacher said faintly. "Oh, yes." "Well, we ready?" Janus asked. "And let's get going." Outside, he took the rake from the teacher and laid it across his lap. "Seeing I'm riding," he explained with a grin. "Say," he added, "maybe you'd better tie this rope around my chest and the back of the chair so I won't go flying out on my face the way these crazy kids take me down the street." The teacher, following his instructions, wound the rope tightly around Janus's chest and bound him to the back of the chair. "Can you run?" Janus asked the teacher. "Because we really move." The four boys giggled. A teacher was a dignified, important person, and Janus asked him to run. To their amazement, the teacher grinned. "Well," he said, "I should be able to keep up with a wheelchair, and if I can't, you and I had better change places." Janus liked that. He bellowed a big laugh. "You're all right," he told the teacher approvingly. But the wheelchair was moving too sedately for him. He looked around. "Well, you kids, what's the matter? Just because the teacher's here, you think I was a delicate little baby in a pram? Get going, get the lead out of your pants." With a doubtful look at their teacher, the boys shoved a little harder. When the teacher still made no objection, they increased the speed. Now they actually had the teacher running beside the wheelchair at a half run. He still looked good-natured about it.